Hello, YouTube. Hello, species value nature system. Hello, every species. Nature of volume. This is about the three natures of speed. Boxings. Of what boxings? But the sciences share an identity that are about this worse than obfuscated since semi-ancient times to keep that value. The three natures of speed are slow, fast, and instantaneous. There is nothing not moving in relationship to the perfect value progression that is a gaining nature of volume as value, as us, simultaneously, distinctly, and non distinctly for the discernment of its identity of value progression. That is the bonded value of what is slow, of what is fast, and what is instantaneous at once, which is the value of a simultaneous nature in demonstration to us, of the order of the finite, being an identity of value that is simultaneously discernibly, inseparable from our invisible but still discernible body of value, quality of fact treatment nature value, and simultaneously as our treatment of our progressive value. Now, the identity of the ground is not moving. It is a simultaneously identity unceasing and gaining value as nature and as nature as value simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly, and then together distinctly and non-distinctly. For example, this is how this one identity of value is in demonstration to us. Allah, but this being about Allah, being about how the value of each name of God is simultaneously gaining value simultaneously. Allah, but distinctly and non-distinctly. And the Trinity and Allah are about five semi-natures that are bonded by one. As one, this science is able to discern this, but per intersciences, criminal foreign influences, and persuasions and victim reactions that are used as victim predator weapons, justified for what facilitated all having valued this originally and still modern nations' roles with natures of sciences or convictions regarding the value of our human fact treatment nature and the power and the might of our value nature system actual that we are not being allowed to access. This is the energy's identity, an identity of relationship to itself that is with and as means that are beyond ourselves as what is demonstrating that. In other words, no matter who we are, positive, is this identity's relationship to itself. We need clean water. We need a nature of relationship to nature. We need to maintain nature with the nature of relationship to itself. We need to do this in ways we've been incapable of doing since semi-ancient times, not by accident. Not because of population increase, but because the way we were fit to this organized crime method that our founders left us to demonstrate free speech. One must teach. They are using databases in the background, stacking them with identity thefts and with areas and with campuses per method that maintains all. Then on off campuses, from off campuses, the whole time. In other words, from off the ground of education, then the campuses when they were realized. In other words, public education, all that stuff. They were already the ground of education was already all were already taken to roles individually, groups / sexes, and species of nature together, each modern nation was already taken. The foundation of it was already taken to collusion with other nations, forced, forced group nations, forced group sick, and that value. And nations, species treatments, not by accident, all victims, but victim predators having blamed the cause of it, everyone needing to devalue for an organized crime method, one that came from semi-ancient times. This just reminds. So, in other words, Allah's name is used for algebraic consciousness about the identity of logic, how about the identity of our nature of volume, which is simultaneously physics, metaphysics, and identity nature. Each identity, like each physical cell of our body, as a complete identity. It is simultaneously an unceasing semi-nature relationship to the organs it makes up, or the parts of the body it makes up. With the cells next to it, sharing cell walls, sharing the value of each cell's nucleus and cell body, and then cell wall. Trinity has a value/value nature relationship to itself as the nature of volume, as three semi-natures bonded by one that is inseparable from itself, invisible but discernibly. And this English is revealed to teach this. All identities of value have connection to this identity hierarchy. This has been worse than semi-ancient, obfuscated to semi-ancient time. The etymology of English really was revealed by the species working together as the nature of volume, appreciating and understanding that how when we're our positive natures, also positive relationship to itself, as a quality of diffusion, we are positive or negative, inwardly, outwardly, as a gaining nature of volume that gains through itself, since before matter was bonded, as a gaining. Um, See, how the bond of matter is valued simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly, as an identity that is that, and that is that is what makes inventions work or not in relationship to itself. It makes our positive quality of fact treatment nature positive or negative, further positive or negative progressively, and further positive or negative. Not just if an invention works or not, it's further positive or negative, not in demonstration. When we are all trying to be the species nature of volume, group/sex's value, and individual value first. When we are positive nature, it is individual first. That our fact treatment nature quality is about. And and that is simultaneously slow, fast, and simultaneous, instantly. And that is with sequence true, because see, the value of sequence is the value of simultaneous nature, which is how we are valued as a forever nature. Only the extents of this are debatable, and not by accident. That's where the criminally foreign influenced sciences come in. That's where physical delusions come in. That's where everyone relying on psychology's quality of fact, treatment nature convictions, for example. With the terms and presented to each age of correlation nature, recorded effectively breaching organized crime method in each before modern nations, effectively keeping each individual nation, group nations, and all together, blaming the real causes of negative value nature progressions on others and other things in themselves, and not realizing nations A through Z and tribes A through Z and colonists A through Z and tribal members A through Z were only realized with the ground of education have been sabotaged before it was formally realized again, only through rolls with that, only realized. Vaccines, those are stings. So there are three natures of speed: slow, fast, and instantaneous. Everything is in demonstration of what is simultaneous. Nature as value, as an identity of value. Again, as that one that vets work in relationship to or not. And then our further positive or negative in relationship to or not. This is the identity, the science to share. This is why and how the predicate is valuable with English for the discernment of body of value communications, understanding, which is slow, fast, and instantaneous. Because there are three semi-natures of itself, which is already completely complete understanding as a complete identities gaining nature of volume as value, perfect value progression. So ours is gaining that value. We are a little bit more of its value coming in. Simultaneously, distinctly and not distinctly, so we could see this is the only value system, value progression system, and where value is nature and nature is value simultaneously, distinctly and non distinctly. In other words, simultaneously, distinctly and non distinctly, value is nature, simultaneously, distinctly and non distinctly, nature is value. And what has that is the identity that's in discernment here, the identity the sciences share. A through L to those 12 letters, that's one nature of longing as one trinity. 12 letters, first 12 letters. L through X, extinction, is another invisible but still discernible nature of values nature, as value nature, inside values nature. And then YZ is um, the value of that as the rest of a forever nature. And as that also before that, left to right, before A, is one nature that won't mix with A, but one way, which is a little bit more of a semi nature that will never be a semi nature for its complete nature of relationship to itself. So we gain its volume no matter what, but its forces positive value nature progressions here, or forces our nature or volume away from here, lead to vadis and demonstration of what is positive or negative in relationship to itself. And so the predicate act is also in demonstration simultaneously with the law of values, value relationship to itself. That is simultaneously, distinctly, and non-distinctly value as nature and nature as value. Not lawyer, not police form, not criminal. Vaccines, that's how you think. Not a military form. Excuse me. Each college dorm must hear. We must all prepare. Lethe of Hadith remains the course of nations each. Let just one teach. Each campus lie too long. Boxing is strong but needs its rest. I tell it best. So we have the campus Marcy is criminally re-engineered. We need the name returned. Be all endeared. Come home. Some bring the name. It only feels like game. The game of games. Who trains? The Legion gains. Awake as tribe. See, so we'll examine how there are three natures of numbers, and as five natures of semi-nature relationship to itself, perfect value progression. So that's progression towards three or two. And in other words, for two, the three numbers are 1, 3, and 5. These are the nature numbers. So that's comes with the lesson on the three natures of speed. There are three natures of zero that were an identity of value progression before there was matter bonded. They were bonded as three semi-natures bonded by a complete nature that is two other semi-natures before, as values complete nature that is inseparable through all parts of it. It's semi-natures. We have semi-natures that are complete natures, like our cells and like the organs they make up, complete identities of value. They're simultaneously unceasingly valuable semi-nature relationships to our complete identity, so we can discern this. So there are three natures of speed also with contemplation is slow. And um, simultaneous nature treatments are fast. And being right or wrong is instantaneously. And this is part of the nature of science, treating ourselves and understanding how and why we are each individual, a nature of volume as individual finite nature, inherent nature, shared with the simultaneously sexist grouped nature of volume we are simultaneously as the nature of the species we are, nature of volume together. So we could see the identity of positive has a positive or negative identity of relationship to itself as a gaining nature of value as nature, as values nature, not just in, but coming from itself in diffusion, where and how it does that by being more and more not where it couldn't be, but it's being there anyways. And the complete nature of relationship to itself is making more and more of its volume in the magnitude of that, as what causes positive value nature progressions and its fruits, even evolution, where species really came from, which is our nature's identity of relationship to itself, which is not which is inseparable from the ground, from all things, vaccines, until its cores. This is where war is contained. But this is deeper than that. This is about how where and how we discern how that and how the sciences share an identity. This is like just the way the religions had to take counter positions and had to entertain roles with sciences and shared policing that are identities of the law. They can't defend themselves and sustain having heard or even hearing or even having heard and understood nature of the laws, voice, and when and where and how it's also positive onto itself always and not denying any exceptions. This is the simultaneous nature that is beyond what is instantaneous, but is only instantaneous. And it is only slow and it is only fast in demonstration of it simultaneously. All things are this. Even the identity of existence is a semi-nature, as the identity of space is, as physics, as the value of metaphysics, and as the value of the identity nature that has them both a bonded value as progressive value, unceasingly. So this is how So we have terms like ego. We have terms like the etymology of English. and all different sides that agree, disagree about things as identities of nations that left out what really has really. See, our species was in nature a volume that was conformed to roles with a through time organized crime method that is completely fact cheap nature method. Criminal insidiousness propagation method of modern nations, all victims blaming the causes of it needing on what they don't know how to don't understand. So per method, having blamed other things and others and themselves, and having had to value that, not by accident. So forgiveness is not to give up. Forgiveness is to admit a quality of fact, cheap nature, allowed protraction that is not that is a quality that is not valuing having had and still maintained originally and still branches individually grouped and together. High fact, cheap nature, evidence perception predators. So, for example, yin yang was revealed to teach how this identity is a nature of volume that only fills. And in other words, polarity is what is male and female. Wherever there is nature, there is male and female polarity, nature of relationship to itself. Wherever there is yin, there is yang. Wherever there is yang, there is yin. Where there is alpha, there is omega. Wherever there is alpha, there is yin and yang. Wherever there is omega, there is yin and yang. These values, all identities of value, are gaining nature of value in a relationship to an identity that we can only discern using a scientific process. That English was revealed with the alphabet as an equation to teach about the identity of logic, Allah. But if you understand this, it's even with the states and areas of each modern nation are defending quality of fact, cheap nature, quality uses of the identity of religions for what they don't. In other words, that you can't defend that and what they're about, where and as and how identity nature's course is obfuscation, and worse than obfuscation was inseparable from our histories. Our correlation nature simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means instantaneous. Simultaneous nature means for revelations to know how and why, what's going to cause positive or negative value nature progressions, like predicate acts, like murders. See, but what's behind those predicate acts is within has roles with the only let realized organized crime countering bodies maintained effectively maintained originally and still in collusion, used to further overt criminal enterprises. Fact cheating nature and valuing positions and identity evaluations and valuing in systems tactically ulterior from values nature's actual perfect value progression system as the one again using the invisible but discernible identity that inventions work in relationship to or not, that are further positive or negative in relationship to it or not, and also discernibly as a quality of fact, as a nature of volume that is increasing even if we're losing weight each day. This is value to itself per its system, which is Earth simultaneously distinct and non-distinct, temporary / lasting value from the rest of space, which is its simultaneously distinct and non-distinct relationship to all parts of space. It's of space nature, as our complete identity is onto all parts of our physical body, space nature. So, what is nature? It is the bond to these three bodies of value, not just physical, but metaphysical, not just metaphysical. And where and how it is beyond metaphysical, controlling what is metaphysical and what is positive to physical simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly, it is showing how the complete nature, semi-nature, relationship to it has to itself, and with two complete natures, one that stays gaining value as a nature that would never mix with temporary space nature, but as a nature that can't help but keep mixing further and further, because the semi-nature relationship to itself that the ancients probably referred to as the heartbeat of Allah, where the Trinity nature, in other words, identity nature, was value equally with was made value equally with positive and negative. And that was when and how the complete nature couldn't only stay a complete nature, which was a little bit before and beyond that, which would, in other words, well, I have to word it better, but in other words, there's the value transfer is only value, but per what stays. In other words, when if we have if it's real, there are waves, sound waves. That's semi nature and demonstration. Everything's a semi nature and demonstration of what is a complete nature that will only stay there. It doesn't drip. It is inseparable from each thing. Oxane, your course, let told. Each campus told a lie. Each campus identity of time with each position of the ground, not by accident, was devalued while it was tortured and while it was hurt and while it was taken to evidence reception treatments maintained value, like for example regarding the etymology of English, which the real etymology of English is how ancients revealed before criminal foreign influence sciences that and how there are 26 sounds manifest, and that and how where there are exceptions, that exception nature is also value simultaneously. There are also proofs that there's the same reason we need to value habeas corpus rights, where people have rights to, inside or outside of courts, to demonstrate the government or the branches involved with, mistreatments of law, uses putting people in prisons or uses of that outside of prisons criminally. See, but there are proofs that the ancients also realized we needed another nature of statutes with English. See, this is my theories that and proofs of it are inherent to it, are inherent to correlation nature, simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means. That the etymology of English was revealed by nature of sciences before the criminal re-engineering. In other words, yin yang was consciously made to teach about what the inside of omega, value of, letter slash value of, as a quality of diffusion, as temporary slash lasting space nature, which is a quality now, positive or negative each moment in relationship to this identity, the identity of relationship to itself. Again, inseparable from and as the value of the ground, of clean water, no. Of positive's identity of relationship to itself. Negative, no, how criminal insidious this nature, common sense is about, I'm not a lawyer. This is about, I'm not police for, I'm not criminal. Criminal insidious nature is about pseudo-positive natures of liars that our American history is about, that each modern nation's history is about. No one knows how to defend it. For the same reason, the church had to ask the help of Saint Nicholas to help them figure out how they were going to defend their positions on the nature of the law. When they couldn't do that, everyone was a victim predator, all forced through criminally foreign influenced sciences. Campus Martius criminally re-engineered. Campus Martius is a nature of value that was revealed by what revealed culture. Physical is negative value nature, but as a tool that demonstrates where the complete nature has a relationship to itself as the value of our nature. Again, only positive when we're valuing individuals first in sequence, and then group and as fact quality of fact treatment nature intersciences. They share an identity. So we're going to discern. This is when we're going to take positions and counter positions on the positions taken on history, on what is practical or not. No, because and in other words, what is positive or not. And we're going to discern how modern nations were built as criminal insidiousness propagation machines, all as victims, and all incapable of, and all having been forced to value that as fact treatment nature. Positions invested as positions not even realized the real causes of it, the real causes and methods maintaining that self-cultivated value. So we have impositions with the costs of upkeeping roads, keeping things, all the impositions that come with them, for example. And people need to take positions while everyone's making opinions. And this is maintained states and areas of each modern nation fighting to defend roles already invested with convictions, premise treatment, sequence treatments, mixed with physical delusions and categorically, and with criminal foreign influences through sciences, intersciences. Like, for example, in relationship to predicate acts, the real causes of and the real facilitations of criminal enterprises, and with narratives when they're charging um, groups associated with it, but they're charging it through what originally juxtaposed people to other natures of interests and motivations, only that realized as victim predators. Like, for example, that's what they don't want. That's what they put. They used Harriet Beecher Stowe's concept of um, the Uncle Tom to keep from being discerned the organized crime torture method, identity theft racket method against each person, including our founders, especially our founders. And and so that needed people to be and methodically maintained everyone effectively, blaming other people, other things, and selves for the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts of nature. Again, like wrongdoers, criminal insidiousness nature, natures like that, natures of acts like predicate acts, organized crime terms, because American history, each modern nation's history is about organized crime. And then again, all the organized crime countering bodies were not by accident forced to entertain a whole bunch of hundreds of nations nave at once. And then with counters that are peaceful, only let through fact treatment nature, roles and natures of positive as criminal diseases nature, as breaching screens and tools. All victims hurt, tortured, time treatment, only let health if they stay conformity to this. Uses of each title of each identity of job of position of ground of campus. This took the identity the ground's education's ground. Education is like, before they had when America started, they were still using whale oil in lamps, and then with the wick. So when you put if you just light a wick, it's going to burn right through. But if you put it in the oil, it's going to stay lit long. And see, our course is a temporary / lasting value course, which is unceasing. This is about the identity the sciences share unceasingly and increasingly. It's the increasing nature of volume, our fact treatment nature. So I use the phrase fact treatment nature because this is forced by nature, per the nature of criminal seriousness nature, per per how that the identity that both space and existence share simultaneously. See, this is the identity of logic, and its identity of relationship to itself and the value of that, which is value as nature, distinctly and non-distinctly in relationship to this identity. That is simultaneously nature as value, distinctly and non-distinctly in relationship to itself simultaneously. While that is true inherently, has the order to the finite, actively, as our invisible but still body of value, quality of fact treatment nature value, discernment, value, and as our progressive value, discernment. So at X, it also extinction, X stands for extinction, which is coupled with the energy which is only a semi-nature, where but it's where and how we could see our complete nature's complete relationship to itself as the value of it. But this is per a quality of fact treatment nature course that is simultaneously, inherently, actively, and progressively prevented free speech and prevented science, and not by accident, originally, and still having sciences defended with sensibilities and relationships to natures of jobs that are reliant upon convictions with physical delusions and with criminally foreign influences that our natures of organized crime bodying countering bodies were already are maintain valuing, having value, because no one ever heard the nature of the laws, the nature of, in other words, nature's relationship to itself that is also positive or negative. Again, as three semi-natures recorded bonded by a complete one with two other semi-natures manifest in demonstration of itself as our identity of value progression is in demonstration to ourselves of ourselves value. But see, this is obfuscated to selves per how each person is in a trap that knew it could maintain this undiscerned off campuses in layers from off campuses, then on off them, maintaining the states and areas leaders and all associated with that criminally foreign influenced in collusion with overt criminal enterprises and with private ones, and with all that manifest as a whole bunch of liars and styles of lying, a whole bunch of nations shared, only defending roles and natures with NASDAQ, not by accident, with NAS roles and natures with value nature systems, all tactically ulterior from this one. That is inseparable from each thing gaining at once. We are a quality of diffusion in relationship to this. The tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil are about how we can see the identity of that the ground has to everything else, how, where, and how we are a nature of volume. That is a Trinity nature. So, in other words, it is distinctly and non-distinctly as and not as physics, metaphysical body of value discernment, and progressions value simultaneously. So this is how we can cause instant evolution, but we have to agree to the plan of admitting and understanding that and how before each modern nation, identity of the grounds, relationship to fact treatment nature was maintained criminal insidious nature, and that couldn't be defended and not blame overt criminal enterprises and criminal foreign influences and cause negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, anything but having been and stayed valued, blamed on other causes, other things themselves, areas with shootings and things like that. These could have been prevented. It's recorded too. It's recorded how we have identity theft racket. You put color in there consciously to effectively knew then that it would have to through time maintain people motivated interculturally, internations, hundreds of nation groups sick, needed to pretend things offensively misprision. Where they don't even know, but facilitated to us, don't even, not even just colleagues, not just interbranch, intercampuses, database relationships, ties to their fact treatment nature, quality of value of others' treatments. See, quality of value of the ground, even of they want to blame who litters, individuals, because this is built to only devolve. To only stay valuing roles and natures, valuing having had the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, blamed on other things, others themselves, all hurt, all tortured, and then invested. That's why they consciously knew this and invested everyone to defending roles with torture, with and as our sides, fake sides roles, with Washington crimes and with Trade Center crimes from Connecticut into Branch 2, all privatized them, intercampuses, then facilitated in the Trade Center attack context, post-dated documents in the Ninth Circuit shown to the panel of judges. Shut down that too, we're right next to the Trade Center attack. Same ones, Washington, Trade Center before that facilitated crimes with crime roles with databases, then lies with illusions with areas. See, Branch is originally still stacking people, even St. Nicholas, put them in jail and write other databases. They're stealing identities. Then people need to talk about that, but they're not allowed free speech because those, in cases as knaves, as victims, but as victim predators, already they took the identity of the ground, the identity of value to their having valued jobs and wealth as determinant of what is. You can't defend that and talk and let someone demonstrate what real value is. It's a total other course. Boxing is force per source, and as all things, boxing. I tell you things, prepare your souls. So this is about the three natures of speed: slow, fast, instantaneous. And this is about the value of the simultaneous nature, exception nature. I'm going to put exception, hashtag exception, CEPTM, nature. This, this, course, or drop, force. Is not rise. I'll drop you guys. What, Mom? Lazy. It's my mother. Okay, so Thank you again for please understand this value. Please understand this is the course. Boxing is it speaks of source, sings of source. Boxing tells us things.